Welcome to Kidney Quest Episode 3. Please welcome our guest, Pesh Patel. Okay, so welcome Pesh to Kidney Quest Episode 3. This is what I call the most laid-back content that you can ever find about kidneys in awareness, because it's made by me.
Love it.
But first, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, why are you here, and kind of like let's talk about like how we met, that sort of a thing too. But first, tell us who you are.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak and again, hang out with you virtually. I was diagnosed with end-stage renal disease in 2017. I was in Australia on business, and one morning in Melbourne, I was walking to my architect's office, and to walk 3 city blocks, I had to stop 4 times. I couldn't breathe. So I was thinking that I was out of shape. I need to go to the gym once I'm back home. Fast forward the next morning, woke up, worst I'd ever felt. Worst I'd ever felt. So I'm like, okay, now it's time to listen to what everybody told me the day before and go to the doctor. So I go to the ER in Melbourne, and within 2 hours, 2 blood transfusions, and I'm in ICU.
Oh
They
my
couldn't
God.
figure out, could not figure out what was going on. And I was speaking to the doctors and the staff there, like I'm speaking to you now.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I even called my dad as they were rolling me up to the ICU saying, hey, by the way, when they're rolling me to ICU, don't worry about it. I'll be out of here in a couple of hours. No big deal.
Yeah.
In ICU, bunch of tests, find out that I was only born with one kidney, meaning only one kidney had fully developed since birth.
And you
So
didn't know
found that
about
out.
this?
No clue. Absolutely
Oh my
zero clue.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And then number two was I the kidney I did have, it was only 2% functional. So I was on a 24-hour dialyzer.
2%.
Too.
Wow.
Yeah. Found out
That's
that if I
crazy.
did not, bananas. If I did not go into the
Right.
ER when I did,
Yep.
I would have died of cardiac arrest within the 20 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And as I've been stubborn about a lot of things in life, I was stubborn even that Monday morning. This was a Tuesday. That
Yeah.
Monday, my architect and others like, hey, Pesh, you need to go to the ER. Even
Yeah.
beforehand, when I wasn't feeling well, the old I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
That was me.
Yep.
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 Everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry
Right.
about it. No big deal. Drink some whatever the case may be. So yeah, all that happened. So yeah, there were symptoms and everything. Now that I look back, I didn't pay attention to it, and then it was almost too late.
Oh my goodness. And how old you when this happened? How old were you when this happened, if I may ask?
40. Yeah, absolutely. It was 40 years old. It was a week after my 40th birthday, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
And so before this, like you said that there were some symptoms that if you reflected now, it could have been, but like how long do you think, or when do you think it might have started? Like you feeling this weird,
Sure.
is it something?
I've thought about this a lot, and I still can't tell you when I can say the first symptom or group of symptoms showed up.
Mhm.
It's something that I guess I learned to live with.
Yeah.
And as I learned to live with it, it just became a part of daily life. Oh, I'm fatigued. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
more tired than I should be for doing any particular task.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
It's one of those
It,
things like I'm learning, for those who are watching this, I'm a living kidney donor.
mhm.
So I am not in that, like, the kidney disease side of the thing, but I'm the one actually who gave a kidney, which means that
Sure.
I am far less educated. Still to this day, it's more learning experience, right? Like, know more about what exactly is a kidney disease and
Hmm.
what can we do. And what I'm learning is that, kidney disease is a very silent disease, is what I'm, being told, is that many people don't really
Absolutely.
realize. Because again, living in a modern society like this, we're all tired, we all working, overworking, we're kind
Yeah.
of all workaholics. And
Yeah.
just waking up a day or two, or maybe like 3 years straight without feeling really rested feels like the norm, right?
Sure.
And it's scary if you think about it, that that might actually be like, it's not, it might be something that's more than just your fatigueness. There might be something going on.
Yeah, and I think we also fall into the trap, especially my generation I can speak to, which is, the you grew up with the rub some dirt on it, it'll be okay generation.
Yep. Yep.
And so you don't want to make a big deal. And then you compound that with being man and the pride and, you know, the, I guess, stigma that's
Right.
attached to not feeling well or not being manly in a sense.
Mm.
So I think all those subconsciously play a role with me and my mindset of being fine always.
Yeah. And if I may ask, are you currently have you received a kidney yet, or are you on the wait list? Like, where are you right now in this journey?
Sure. And first of all, one thing that I want your audience to know and be well aware of is when you say that you are a kidney donor, a living donor, this means you're a hero. Okay. So you did something altruistic and you did something for the benefit of somebody else. And that's why it's called the gift of life. So I want everybody listening to remember that Sarah is a hero. So back
I
to
feel
me.
awkward
Uh,
now.
well, then we'll talk about me, which I'm comfortable with.
Okay,
So I was on, after being diagnosed, this was 2017.
good. Mm,
I was on dialysis for 15 months and I received my transplant in August of 2018. So it was actually August 7th
okay.
of 2018. And I was fortunate enough to have a living donor. His name is Chris. Shout out Chris. So very lucky to have that happen because my blood type is O positive, and O positive, if
Mm,
you're on a waiting list
yeah.
for a kidney, is one of the longest wait
Yeah.
times there is, if not
Mm,
the longest.
right. Wow. So that was your very first transplant, and how is that
Hmm.
going so far? So it's been 2018, so I can do math. 4 years, right? Am I right? 5 years, 6 years,
No,
6 years.
come on, you're better than this.
I haven't had coffee yet. Okay, it's only 1 o'clock on a Friday.
Okay, fair enough. So since 2018, it's been
Mhm.
6 years, right?
It's yep.
But I will tell you, in February of 2021, okay, so that's 4 years after I was diagnosed, 3 years after I was
Yep.
transplanted,
Hmm.
my kidney rejected.
Oh.
Yeah. So the transplant rejected, unfortunately. It
Mm.
was, yeah, February of 2021. And so I am here with a
Mm.
rejected transplanted kidney.
So tell me a little bit more about what it means to be rejected after receiving a transplant. Like, for example, as a non-medical person, I feel like once you get the kidney, and then if any rejections were to happen, I feel like
Hmm.
it would happen in the first 24 hours or 48 hours. But in your case, it seems like it's the years, right? So like, what does it mean
Right.
that?
Okay. And also, my whole life until this happened, subscribed to bro science. So I'm not up on all the medical lingo
Sure.
also.
Yeah, that's totally
So I do warn you before this explanation, but to your point, it could be 5 minutes and a kidney doesn't take. It could be 5 years. It could be people that live, you know, multiple years on a kidney after transplantation. In my case, unfortunately, not that long.
fine.
And I've had plenty of biopsies since. The actual cause of rejection is still not known. I have my theories. I'll leave that for another conversation another
Sure.
day or offline conversation with you
There we go.
after this. But yeah, it rejected. And so since 2021, I wouldn't say, I've been doing the best I can
Mm,
in the situation I'm in.
right.
And I'm
Okay.
not on another transplant list.
You're not on the list right now?
No.
And is there a reason why you're not on?
Still debating whether or not I want to go through it or not. It's honestly because I have my my nephrologist, even Wednesday when I went to go see him, he's like, all right, Pesh, ready to start dialysis?
Mm,
I still said no. Dialysis was the worst experience I've probably ever been through. I was on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule, 4 hours each time, but it was one of those things where it was just mentally exhausting, physically grueling. And by the time I started feeling better after one dialysis session, it was time to do another one. Now, I'm not saying like all 15 months was absolutely terrible, but the
Sure.
overall, my life on dialysis was something I do not want to deal with again or
Right.
go through.
Right. And so just kind of like pedaling back to how we
Hmm.
know each other. Uh,
Sure.
so we met through this foundation called the National Kidney Foundation and through their advocacy program. Since when have you been a member there or like one of the advocates at the NKF?
Sure. October. So I launched a kidney life
Mm,
in October. And and for those that you don't know, Kidney Life is I started out, the foundation is a weekly newsletter
hmm
where I write about my thoughts, experiences, and just life in general and of what it is to be living with kidney disease. I
hmm
discuss things like mental health. I discuss
Yep.
food nutrition and many other topics. And again, at the bottom of it, it's, hey, what is it like being a human being? At
Yeah.
the end of the day, we're all dealing with something.
Right.
And this is just my perspective on it based on everything I've gone through and what I still go through every day. So when I started that, I needed to open up my network and build a network in the kidney world because my background is hospitality.
Okay.
And so I'm reaching out to a lot of just randomly just throwing out so many different just LinkedIn requests and things of that nature. And I started slowly building. And I tell you, a big help has been National Kidney Foundation of Louisiana. I'm in
Mm,
Lafayette, Louisiana, by the way.
okay.
And National Kidney Foundation of Louisiana, the CEO, Tori Krantz, the board members like Carly Morales, they have been amazing. They
Mm,
have really held my hand in a sense
mm,
and allowed me to grow into what I do now and what I wish to do in the future with my role with National Kidney Foundation, other organizations such as LOPA, which is a Louisiana organ
yep.
procurement agency,
Right.
and others. So, and then from that is how I decided, hey, I want to be an advocate. I've been an advocate in the hospitality world before,
Okay.
and I learned about the Kidney Patient Summit,
Okay.
and I said, hey, I need to be a part of this. And so this was my first one. I believe this was your first one also that we
Yeah, it
just went
was.
to in DC.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And that's, we met, what was it, the Hoover app, I think?
It was a Hoover app. It was a blast there.
It was, it was interesting
It's
at
something
times.
for sure. Right.
For
Yeah.
sure. So we met before we met.
Yeah, which is really, really interesting. And
Hmm.
so, again, for those who have absolutely no idea what we're talking about with the summit and advocacy, the National Kidney Foundation hosts a summit each year for advocates. And they're not just patients, they're not just donors, they're supporters, they're doctors, they're nurses, all these people that are supporting the kidney disease awareness. Because I think if I remember the numbers correctly, currently we have about 90,000 people on a wait list for a transplant to get a kidney. And that is a lot of numbers. And only about one third of that is a living kidney donor. And the
Hmm.
rest are waiting what we called from a deceased donor, which is again, that's a whole another conversation
Yeah.
we have to have.
Hmm.
And I didn't know this until obviously I donated my kidney last year. Mine was May 10th, 2023. And immediately after the surgery, I decided to reach out, asking, hey, okay, my kidney's gone. I gave it to a person. They're alive. I was in a daisy chain of 7 patients, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But obviously, I didn't want to end there because the whole purpose of this is not just trying to save one person or 7. It's okay, moving forward. I have family, I have friends, I have the community of people that I know. Even strangers can become your families and friends in the longer run.
Absolutely.
How do I, as a very unknown, I'm a nobody, I'm just being a Darth Vader and all, but how can I keep this, this excitement going to a point that I don't know if it's going to be in 5 years, 10 years, heck, it might take 30, but there's going to be a point where we say, congratulations this year, everybody was a
Mhm.
match. And not only that, it's not just a donor, but we're not going to wait that long. We're going to do, early prevention. What can we do to make sure that we don't get to dialysis? We don't get to
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
And I was very amazed of learning about this advocacy program with the NKF because the summit is exactly that. The bills that we can pass, the people we can talk to, the education that we can receive to for ourselves and to the others. Um,
Right.
and so for you, so I'm from Pennsylvania and I've
Mhm.
always met the lawmakers from the area. How did the summit go for you this year?
It was great. I was very surprised that this was my first time out, and I had 8 meetings. And so it was
Wow,
a yeah,
8 meetings,
it was a
that's a lot.
yeah, I joke with Kevin Longino, who's the CEO of NKF,
Mhm.
and I said, "Is this some sort of hazing for this being my first time?" But luckily, he was with me. Kevin's from Louisiana,
Oh, cool.
so
Okay.
he was with me on a few of them, and I was actually in meetings for Louisiana and also for Alabama.
Mm.
So there were 2 states covered. So it was daunting when you first look at your schedule and you're like, "Well, when can I take a break?"
The
Right?
advocacy app, right? Like, you're scrolling, you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Wait, there's more? There's
Yep,
more?
yep,
When am I having lunch? You know, just
right.
little things like that. But and I was nervous, although I'd advocated before,
Mm,
I'd never advocated from a health perspective, kidney perspective.
yeah,
So I was nervous. And then being my own worst critic in the first office, I think I stumbled a little bit. But once I got in a rhythm, and again, having Kevin there, and then also for the Alabama meetings, one of the constituents from Alabama, Caleb, he was with me, and we found great rapport. And other members of the NKF staff, such as
mhm,
Sharon Pierce, were in
yeah,
one of the meetings. So that really helped. And again, I think that they weren't listening to just, hey, this is what our asks are,
mm,
but this is me living through it asking you.
yep, mhm,
So it puts an emphasis of somebody that has dealt with it, is dealing with it in front of them, as opposed to just a random group of people or sending emails
right,
without a face.
right. No, that totally makes sense, and again, it's one of those things that, again, as a person without the kidney disease, I wouldn't have known, and these types
Hmm.
of advocacy really does make a difference.
Hmm.
So from your standpoint, what are some of the things that, reflecting the summit together felt most important to you or your community moving forward that we still don't have or we're working on right now?
I think a bigger voice. To your point of what you said 90,000, almost 90,000
Yeah.
kidneys are needed. So, from a broader perspective, there are over 103,000 total organs needed, and 90,000 of that is
Yes.
kidney. So, that
Yes.
shows you how important this is. I think that we need it. I feel like I wish we could go once every 6 months to
Mm.
the Hill. I know
Yep.
it's not
Mhm.
possible. And that's why it's important for our follow-ups with the people
Yeah.
you met with, the people I met
Yes.
with, and others. The other thing I will say from a personal perspective that I think helps all of us is, I guess, touching on mental health a little bit here, is it shows you once again that you're not alone.
Yep.
It shows you there's other people dealing with this. There's other people living with this. There's other people that are there to support you.
Yep.
And having a support system, if you don't have one, because I do unfortunately know people that
Mm.
are dealing with kidney disease that don't really have people to turn to
Yeah.
when they need to have a conversation or when they want to ask a question. They
Yeah.
don't know where to look.
Mm.
And so it's humbling, first of all, to be a part of the delegation, and then to turn around and see we almost had, what, 160 people there this year?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So to have all those people, and then the people that couldn't make it. I
Yeah.
know people that are on the advocacy committee that could not make it.
Right.
So having that family, our kidney family, with the NKF, it's heartwarming, it's inspirational, and it gives me drive to keep doing what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I definitely take away from it. and
Definitely.
also how to improve, learn from this year
Hmm.
to improve next year's summit.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's funny because somebody was saying, it gets harder and harder every year in a good way to take pictures at the the stairs.
Mm,
Last year was still apparently a smaller group, and this year it was much bigger. And it's good, the longer we stay at the stairs to take pictures, that means that we actually have a bigger family.
yes.
Um,
I was on the second group, by the way. So Kevin and I missed the first big group picture.
oh no.
Yeah, so we missed that. So we were on the second one. So we still got in there.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. And so, like, I want to quickly talk about, like, we're talking about the
Hmm.
goals right now, and that's the
Sure.
big emphasis on, how best can we move forward. So, like, let's say smaller goals from today to next year's summit. What
Hmm.
can you and I do to kind of build that family, bigger and stronger? The person or people that are not currently, in that kidney disease awareness community or have nothing to do with kidney disease. We want
Hmm.
those people to kind of understand. And again, as a living donor, it'd be best
Hmm.
if someone actually comes up to me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about donation," which did happen
Yes.
last event. Somebody
Oh,
did come up
really?
to me, they follow me, came to DC and said, "Hey, by the way, I've been thinking about doing it and I think I'm going to do it."
Hell
And
yeah. I
it
love
made
that.
my day, right? It made my day. But at the same time, I'm not going to push everybody and says, "You have to donate. Let's do this."
Right.
That's
Right.
really not the point. But like, how
Correct.
can we, work together to keep this awareness going in a way that we can?
So step one is to be ourselves,
Mm,
right? We have to be authentic. We have to be genuine.
right.
We have to be true to who we are. And if we weren't, I wouldn't have started Kidney Life. You wouldn't have this podcast.
Mm,
I started a podcast also with an amazing co-host. So it's awareness,
yep.
it's education, and it's advocacy. Those are my three pillars. That's what we have to do. We have to not be afraid to have the conversation.
Hmm.
My mindset before all this happened and the stigma of discussing any chronic illness or
Yeah.
sickness or just putting all of that aspect of life
Mm,
to the side, can't do that. It's at the forefront.
yeah.
And also, we also have to remember for those of us that have been diagnosed that our disease is not who we are. It's something that's happened to us.
Mm,
Now, how do we take that and turn it into a positive?
yeah.
That's again the mental health side of things is doing that. So I think with our awareness, with our education, again, your podcast, letting people know in your, how did you phrase it, in your little world, I think that's how you put it, in your little world, sharing these things so that people, again, the being open to understand that, oh, wow, I can live a healthy life with only one kidney.
Yep.
It's important. It's important. We have 330 million people in this country, I think, somewhere around there.
Yep.
We only need 90,000 of
Right.
that,
If you put
right?
it in that perspective, it's reachable, it's doable.
Yeah, exactly. And, some of the initiatives, again, with the Living Donor Protection Act that
Yes.
we discussed on the Hill,
Yep.
those things, we need to push those things through. And again, I think the initial step is just sharing the message of everybody is, hey, have you gotten a kidney screening?
Hmm.
We haven't. Why not?
Yep.
You know, I know we're all afraid of going. When I say all, a lot of us are
A
afraid to
lot of
go to
us
the
are,
doctor
but yeah. Hmm.
doing that. But I'll tell you this from my perspective, being in a foreign country on a business trip, life is great. I'm invincible in that moment.
Mm.
And then in a split second, it all
Oh,
changes.
yeah. Yep.
A test that costs less than $10. If you're worried about medical costs, this screening costs less than $10, I believe,
Wow. Yeah.
can save you everything that I've been through, or a lot of people like me have been through. Again, numbers to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
So go out there, the people listening, tell people you love, you care about, people on the street, hey, get a kidney screening. It is National Kidney Month,
Yep.
after all. So it's a great time to do it, but anytime's a great time to do it. So,
Yeah. I agree. It's the it's a closing analogy that I always give people is that, when you go to the airplanes, they say, in times of emergency, put the
Hmm.
mask on you first and
Right.
then go to someone else. So you have to know to
Yes.
put that on yourself before going to other people and say, hey, I'm going to try to help you. No, you got to help you first. You matter
Yes.
first. And if you're not
Yes.
healthy and if you're not capable, you can't help the others.
It's
Right.
okay to be selfish.
It's okay
It's
to be
okay to be
selfish.
selfish.
Yes,
Yes.
in 2024, it's okay to be selfish. Go to your checkups. I don't care what part of the
Hmm.
body. It's the love that you can give yourself so that the love can keep
Yes.
going. And as a
Yes.
mom, I have 2 kids. I don't want them to ever be in the position where they say, "No, I'm not. I'm too busy to go to the screening. I'm to do this."
Right.
Like, no, I want my babies to live. And
Sure.
as a mom, like you all are my babies, right? Like I want you
Hmm.
to be happy and healthy. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the key right there, right? Is I know a lot of people and they're too busy because their work demands this or their life demands that, or they want to, just get to the next level in life, if you will.
Right.
And we have to remind them as advocates that, hey,
Yeah.
all these things you're doing are great, but without your health, it doesn't matter. I don't
No.
care how much money you have.
Mhm.
Without your health, it's nothing.
It doesn't. And again, like if you're a company owner, if you're a business owner,
Hmm.
you're going to be the coolest boss ever if you actually advocate to your staff and employees, hey, go take a screening day. This is the day that you can take off. It can be a PTO, whatever it is. Go
Yeah,
take care of your health. If you can do that as a business and say kidney isn't included, for women it's breast cancer is included. It might be prostate cancer, like anything that you need as a company, I am telling
sure.
you, go get it. If you can do that, that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah,
So,
and you'll be appreciated more as a leader. I
right.
think, you know, I think that the we always as business people in the past you always look, hey, okay, what's the bottom line? But you treat your employees or your staff or your
Yep.
colleagues as family.
Yep.
Well, this will really show that
Yep.
you treat those people as your family.
Right.
Because again, you want your family to live, you want your family to thrive.
Yep.
And this way of doing that. But I will ask you, Sarah, on that from what you learned in your first kidney summit, what do you see as far as just if we break it down a day to day of things you recommend or things that you're doing that to help, I guess, amplify the voice?
I think that's a really good question because that's something that I do think on a daily basis. And I don't
Hmm.
have being honest with you, I don't have a solid
Sure.
answer because, it's something with the amount of people that we have, that means the voices are different, the likes are different, the preferences are different. And I personally don't know what's going to hit, but I feel
Right.
like if I were to give a one word, it's pivoting. Don't just
Okay.
do one thing, keep pivoting, keep making a mistake, keep editing, keep redoing it, keep, renew the message, keep talking. It's just the essence of like never giving up, I think is the key because I
Yes.
don't know the answer. If I do, I don't think, if I knew the answer, NKFs is going to know everything. Like they're going to handle everything.
Right.
You would handle everything.
Right.
We don't know what to do and we won't be in this problem right now, but don't give up because again, you want to get to each and every one of these people. That means it's a lot of chances you got to take. You got to, it's a lot of takes you got to take. And,
Yeah,
that's, oh, did my PC just freeze?
I think so.
I'm waiting.
Well, as you were saying, as you fix that, I think one of the things you're stressing, which I'm a firm believer in, is consistency. We have to consistently do what we're doing.
Right.
We, I think we get that feeling sometimes like, well, people might be tired of me hearing me all my posts only about this or only about that. No, no, no. There's a reason for it. There's a reason we, we need 90,000. And by the way, once there's zero kidney transplants needed, we will pivot
Yep.
and love to talk to y'all about something else. But
Right.
until that time comes, this is what we're going to do,
Yep. No, I
right?
agree. I agree. So that's the word I give. Yeah, no, I think that is the takeaway is that, it sounds cheap, but it really isn't. It is so hard to actually follow through with never giving up.
Hmm.
So this is me as a living donor and an advocate, telling you and then, the others in the community that I will not give up. I'm going to keep walking with you until that moment comes and we can celebrate that there's not going to be a wait list anymore.
I love it.
So yeah, that's where I am.
That's great. And thank you again for being a hero. You're an inspiration, you're a role model, and I look forward to many thousands of people following your footsteps.
Thank you. No, that means a heck of a ton and a booster for me to keep going.
Absolutely. And that's important too. Actually, that's a great point, which is I think the human condition lends us to, well, what does the person saying this looking like, or what does their voice sound like?
Mm-hmm.
Kidney disease has no face.
Has no face? Nope. No.
So listen to the message.
Yes.
Wherever it's coming from, listen to the message. That's what's imperative.
Yep. No, I highly agree. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an amazing chat.
No, I
My
appreciate the
apologies. My
opportunity once
apologies
again.
for my apologies for turning into a gray blob at the end, but such is life.
No, you're good. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen at home, before we started this pod, I want you to know that I was asking Sarah for technical advice. So there you have
All right, one last try before I stop this video. Nope.
it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I cannot wait for another year of advocacy journey with you.
Absolutely. And do you mind if I give a quick plug for myself?
Oh, of course. Please do.
Okay. So you can find me on Instagram at A Kidney Life, and also a new podcast with my co-host Sarah Eve Schaefer is where you find your podcast. And the name of our new podcast is Talk Kidney to Me. Episode 1 just released this week. So I'm not sure when this comes out, but we have released episode 1, and we look forward to you being a part of our journey also. And Sarah, whatever you need, you can always reach out to me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Take care.